Welcome to Rock Your Reinvention, the show for high-achieving career women who refuse to settle for mediocrity and aren't afraid to take bold action. This is a place where you can authentically show up, where every dream and goal can be validated and achieved. Hi, I'm your host, Karen Freeland, a certified life reinvention coach, speaker, and award-winning author. I'm here to give you the tips, tools, and strategies to help you shift your mindset, build your confidence, and take meaningful actions so you can rock your reinvention. Ready to go from stuck to thriving? Let's go. Hey, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Rock Your Reinvention. Today, I am featuring a former client, Celina Bell, who will give you a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to be a member in my group coaching program, Success Without Sacrifice. This was recorded about a year ago. The full video is in my Facebook group, Successful Working Women, Rocking Reinvention, but you can just listen into the interview right here. Now, the reason I built Success Without Sacrifice is for women just like Celina, who are working in the corporate environment, slugging it out in the 9 to 5, and feeling like all they do is work 24/7. They're not taking the time for their health and well-being. They have no energy left in the tank for a date night with their spouse come Friday, and our children end up getting the last scraps of what we have left. And I lived that way for many years too, until I learned this proven process and methodology that I'm going to teach you inside Success Without Sacrifice to help you reshape and align your life to your values, come up with your biggest goals and priorities, and help you set boundaries that allow you to finally achieve those things. So I'm really excited to share this interview with you. It is not rehearsed. She knew the questions I was going to ask, but her answers are her own and her own words about the program. I will say she's a star client, right? She showed up, she did the work, she played full out, never missed a session. And if you do the same and you apply for Success Without Sacrifice, I know you can have very similar results. So it's going to be a lot more valuable to hear Celina, an actual client of mine, share her testimonial and her story than for me to just tell you how great the program is. So without further ado, let's jump into the interview. Welcome, Celina.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Karen. So my name is Celina Bell. It's nice to see all of you. I am Vice President for Helix Wireless, a booming startup that connects things, people, and businesses globally. I have been blessed to find a husband that cares so much about me. He makes me want to be a better person. That's almost like a movie line, right? And I'm super happy in the kitchen, whether it's cooking for our dog, Frank Sinatra, or just coming up with new recipes and getting creative there too. I'm also a volunteer, so I find some time to be a youth minister for middle schoolers at my local church. And I volunteer for Catholic Daughters of the Americas group that's in my local church as well.
Wow, I love that. And thank you for giving us that context because you certainly have a lot on your plate. So I can imagine balance has probably always been something that you have had to try to work at.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Like all of us, right? We always have to find some kind of balance or suffer through it.
Yeah, right. Which we don't want to have to do.
Nope.
All right. So take me all the way back to you first hearing about the program, Success Without Sacrifice. What was happening in your life and what specifically fueled you to sign up and apply for the program?
The current date for me at that time was I had already met you. I'd taken a couple of classes, right? So Helix Wireless, they brought you in for a couple of classes and I loved them. But at the time, almost 3 years ago now, right? We were starting up as a startup. And so I was like nose to the ground, trying to get so many things done. I was working easily 10 to 12-hour days. And I just really focused on getting things done and moving them forward. At the same time, I was not feeling like I was worthy of the title of vice president. That was a big deal for me. I was like, oh, it's just a title. It's for a startup. We're so small. I had trouble accepting that title for myself.
Sure.
And I struggled with, people said, think more strategically. We want to hear what your vision is for the company or for this project. And I was really struggling to do that. I was Googling like how to be more strategic. It was not fitting. It was not a good fit. So I knew that it wasn't impossible. You knew that there were new things that I needed to try. And I had tried a lot of different things, right? Like a course here, self-improvement there, self-help books for, professional women. And I had tried all of it, but something was missing. It wasn't sticking. It would work for like 3 months. And then I would go back to, would get sick every 3 months. I would have to kind of hit a reset button every 2 to 3 months. And that was this horrible cycle that was happening. And I was able to sit down and decide that it was time to do something about it.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And good for you for recognizing that and saying, like, I don't want to be stuck in this cycle anymore. I want to break free. I want to make a change. And I'm so glad that Success Without Sacrifice was able to do that for you.
Me
So,
too.
what would you say were some of the biggest changes that you noticed in joining the program or wins that you've had since reinventing your life and being in the Success Without Sacrifice program?
Oh, there are so many. I think one of the biggest wins was to learn to recognize when my little inner negative Nelly was talking to me, when I was telling myself lies and just being aware of it, being able to recognize it. That was one of the biggest transformations, right? And then other big ones, I mean, I feel comfortable saying that being part of that group helped to save my life. It was me focusing on other things and other people and putting myself last. And so we talk about work-life balance, but we don't, as women, we try to be everything for everyone, right?
Yes.
And a lot of time, a mani-pedi as self-care is not enough, but we don't realize, right? So it was that big hit realization that I have to come first, and that there doesn't have to be any guilt attached to me just saying, no, I need this 30 minutes of peace and quiet, just thinking differently about self-love. So those two big pieces, came together to help me change my life.
I love that. And that is one of the big pieces of Success Without Sacrifice. It is all about growing your career and getting to the next level and achieving your big goals, but also making sure that your personal goals are being met too. And that for you really was a lot to do with health and wellness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I mean, really, when you told me about some of the stuff that you had uncovered and how this program literally saved your life, I was like, oh my goodness, I never could, when I put this together, never could have dreamed that you would have that kind of impact. So
Right.
incredibly
Yeah.
powerful.
Me neither.
Right? I know. You
Oh,
had
yeah.
no idea coming in that was going to
Mm-mm.
be the outcome.
No.
Pretty wild.
Oh, the business goals are always top of mind, right? And especially when somebody hears about, a coaching arrangement or even a group coaching, almost always we're thinking business goals versus personal. And the truth is we need to address both.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
We want balance for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, love that. Okay. So what did you like most about the Success Without Sacrifice program?
One of my favorite things was the sisterhood,
Mm.
right? A lot of my life, I'm like, I barely have time for friends. They make plans and cancel because something at work comes up or something at home comes up. So the sisterhood that the group created was just forming new bonds with people that you can relate to, right? Different levels in their professional journey and in their life journey. So with one of the girls, I was like, oh my gosh, we're the same. Like I can absolutely relate. So we can bounce different ideas or concerns of each other. But then there were younger girls in the group as well. And they were in a place in their career that I had already been through. So a lot of it I could relate and almost turn to like motherly advice, like, hey, keep at it. You're on the right path, right? So the sisterhood, and then the fact that just because we were meeting regularly without making each other accountable, we were making each other accountable. I hope that makes sense. There was like this responsibility to the group, and it was just wonderful.
I love that. And I totally know what you mean because way back in the day when I was going through my whole midlife crisis, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, I took a week off of work and I told the other women in this lean in circle that we had at work that I was going to take a week off and try to figure out what I wanted to do. And they told me, well, we want to know what you come up with and what you do on this week off. And like, let us know. And all of a sudden, I felt this sense of responsibility. Like, I got to actually maximize this week so that I have something to come back and report to them. And it
Yeah.
made that week one of the most pivotal weeks of my life. It really did.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was almost like a sense of obligation, right? Like I should really make the most of this. So that's the exact same feeling.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I love that. So you have been a part of my Facebook group for, oh my gosh, almost probably since the beginning. And I think a lot of women are afraid of investing in themselves, right? And spending money on themselves and prioritizing themselves. And so we tend to fall into this like DIY it, like I'll just try to do it myself and I'll just soak up all the free resources. And look, free is great. And I have been in many of my coaches groups and I've soaked up all kinds of free stuff, but free only gets you so far, right? It only takes you to a certain level. So what made you have the confidence to finally invest in yourself and get that next level of coaching support?
Well, it was a mixture of reasons, right? Your Facebook group, it came to me at a time where I was spending a lot of time on social media whenever I wanted to escape, right? So if I had like a 5-minute break from work or I would go outside and just look at the trees, I would pop up social media and then I would see your posts. And free is amazing because it can open the doors to that awareness of something's off or something's missing. And that's what your post did for me, right? Everything from, financial planning and guidance to having more confidence to communicating effectively, right? All of these little seeds that you were planting with the Rock Your Reinvention videos and having your guest speakers join, all of those things really helped me realize, hey, this is a lot like what I've been trying and what I've been doing, right? It's great information. There's no follow-up. It and I can grab that information. I can do my best with it. And I've done that. I've done that for the last 25 years, right? Is I'll take a good Franklin Covey training class and I stick with it for about 3 to 6 months. And then I fall back into, my messy self. And so all of that combined, helped me to, I had started thinking because you have amazing payment plans too. And when you made that available, I was like, you know what? It's time. It's time because a lot of times you're thinking about, financial goals that you want to meet.
Yeah.
And like I said, as women, we're not highest on that priority list, right? So part of those videos had helped me realize that I needed to do something for myself. I started to not feel as guilty about it. And then when you offer the payment options, I was like, okay, it's time. I just have to do this. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, then it costs me as much as a weekend away with the girls in the islands. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
okay. It
Right.
can be done. So yeah, it was fighting the fear a little bit and having the courage to say, I need to focus on me.
Powerful. And I'm sure some women listening right now are hearing your words and going, yeah, it is time for me to focus on me. Like I have been paying out money for the kids or for their husband or to save it for a house or whatever, debt from schooling, like all these things. And it's like, okay, when do you get to just do something for yourself? So important. Okay. So is there anything that surprised you about being in success without sacrifice or something that happened that you really didn't expect?
Yes, you became a little bit of my psychologist too.
Yes, I am not only a therapist. It is very therapeutic in coaching sessions. And so I do end up kind of feeling like I'm playing that role.
Oh my goodness. Well, I keep saying the word awareness, right? And there's so much about ourselves that sometimes we just accept. Prime example, when I first started the program, I introduced myself as this control freak. And so now, ladies, I can tell you, officially, I am a former control freak.
Yes.
And that's just one of the little mindset shifts that happened. Another thing that I was telling myself was, just don't like to deal with emotions. I don't like to deal with my own emotions. I push them down and then I forget all about them. And you me the right questions for me to journal about it, to think about why I would feel that way and to face it little bits at a time, right? So to go back through my life and try to remember those moments where I told myself that lie and enough that I believed it. And then to deconstruct it and to raise more awareness for every time that I want to say, I don't want to deal with this emotional mess right now because I can't, because I'm not good at it, to now saying, something's here. Maybe I should journal about it, or let me think about this uh, more or differently, right? So super valuable for me. Those were surprises. I didn't, realize that those were things that I needed to work on.
Sure.
And the result has been amazing, like really eye opening. Right?
Well, and it's so great because you have been getting feedback recently from your leadership team at Helix Wireless, noticing the difference in your communication styles, noticing the difference in your management style. And so that I think, when we talk about career goals and moving it up, whether it's up in the company or laterally taking on more or whatever it is, getting bigger projects assigned to us, all of that, like this does help you accomplish that very much so.
Absolutely. And even if it is just feeling like you're worthy of your title or that you're rocking your job, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be this gigantic goal. It can be. And those are great goals to strive for, right? Even if it is just something as, well, I would call it a simple, but for me, it was a huge mountain to tackle, right? Or to climb. Um, Feeling super confident saying, oh, I'm a vice president and I'm rocking that.
Yes, yes, really owning it and like being in that skin. Yeah, I've seen the transformation in you and it's just been amazing.
Thank you. You and thanks to you and the ladies.
Of course. Yeah. And like you said, the sisterhood is such a big piece of this. And that's why I'm really particular about who I let into the group. I mean, there is an application process and it's not to be like bougie or anything or keep anybody out, but we really want to make sure we have the right participants in so that they can support each other and it can feel like that sisterhood. So, talk to me about confidence because I think that that's one thing that I hear from my clients all the time. Like, I need more confidence. If I had the confidence, then I would be successful. So, how do you feel your confidence has changed since being a part of Success Without Sacrifice?
It's become part of my personality, right? Now, for like maybe cultural reasons, right? I come from Argentina. I come from a third world country where the culture is a little bit different, right? More patriarchal culture and behavior. And so my normal behavior was always to be more quiet or more submissive versus confident, right? And felt guilty every time that I did confident. I felt like it was boasting. And so I had to work through that conflict. There's being confident or behaving confidently doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes,
Yeah.
right? And that's a big part to realize, right? It doesn't mean that I'm going around saying, oh, I'm all that in a bag of chips. It
Right.
doesn't mean that either. It's just about having the courage to make decisions that sometimes could be difficult decisions and to be thorough in evaluating what decisions you're going to make and what the consequences are versus, the benefits. So it just helped me to really be more mindful of decision making,
Mhm.
be more mindful of courage, right? When do you use it? Do you understand the risk? Be more mindful of the fear that the little voices you hear that say, no, that's not going to work. Or you shouldn't do that. People are going to think
Mhm.
this or say that, right? So my confidence has grown tremendously. Now it's always a work in progress, just like
Sure.
most of what we do, right? Yeah. But and
It's no
and
silver bullet, you know?
no,
It's a daily habit, really, right? Constantly
yes.
setting those boundaries, enforcing those boundaries, delegating more and getting stuff off your plate and not being afraid, having the confidence to say, I'm not going to do this as your VP. Like this is your work and I'm not going to come in and rescue every little thing, right? Like here's our standard of excellence and you need to come up to that. And so really there is a lot of, I would almost say like executive coaching that can happen through this process as well.
Yes. And thanks for bringing that up too. How could I forget the confidence to say no to things and to people? Oh my goodness. That was so big.
Yeah.
So,
It's
yeah.
so funny because it seems like so big, but then once you start doing it, it just feels so natural that you forget it was ever even a thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So I do like to always keep it real on these lives. I mean, the fact is we all have challenges. So what do you think the biggest challenge that you had to overcome or you faced during the program was?
Oh, a lot of my self talk
Mm.
was really stopping me from believing that I could look at things differently, from believing that I could see things differently. So it was just my mindset,
Yeah.
right? That was the biggest challenge. And, we already talked about the biggest benefit, having the sisterhood, having your guidance, having you reach out to me and to others, to the group
Yeah.
that I just needed to really dig deeper and face those things and really look into those things. Right? I talked about believing that I was a control freak, that was just the way I was.
Right.
That's not the case, right? It's break that myth.
Yep.
So,
I love
yeah.
that. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing. I think that's going to be really helpful for anyone that's listening. And you have actually then taken the leap after you went through the program, which used to be an 8-session program, but I've now extended it for this next round to 10 sessions. But you have now also made the decision to coach with me one-on-one. So, what would you say the biggest benefit you got was from the group? I mean, we talked about the sisterhood a little bit, but was there anything else that group setting really benefited you for people who maybe aren't ready to make that one-on-one? Or I'm just curious on your thoughts there.
But, I'll sound like a broken record now, right? But
Yeah.
that sisterhood, being able to relate so closely. And I think, you brought up your interview process to get into the program. And I'm so grateful that you were able to match us up with a diverse group of women, right? And not all of us, but few of us in different areas or stages of our professional and personal lives, right? That we were all able to come together and share our experiences. I was surprised, but not so surprised that I was learning from the younger girls, right? And so we all learned and benefited from that group setting. And especially, working from home, I am the caregiver for my husband who had some medical issues. So I really don't get out that much. And this was like new friends that I can relate to, that we're still in touch with, by the way, that we're celebrating promotions and goals being achieved and accomplished, right? Being able to delegate grocery shopping, all of this in sisterhood, right?
Yeah.
We were not alone in the journey. And that was so valuable for me. I think that, looking back, if I had the option, going back to the beginning and choosing a one-on-one or a group setting, would always choose the group setting to begin with. It
Yeah.
was a great introduction. It was my first paid for coaching experience, and it was fantastic. And it opened the door for me to know and to have more confidence about what I needed to continue to work on to sharpen the saw,
Yeah, it does. It really gives you a guide for if you want to then go to the one-on-one, like you know exactly what you want to work on and the areas that you want to focus. So that can be tremendously helpful. I agree. So I have just a couple more questions for you before I let you go. I think sometimes women worry that a group program won't be personalized enough, and rightly so. I mean, I think there are some group programs out there that are just so cookie cutter. They don't leave enough flexibility for the women. But what did you think about the level of attention that you received for individually through the program?
I felt that, well, at first surprised because I didn't realize how individualized it was going to be, right?
Right.
I felt that enough time was given to me, to my concerns, to my troubles, and that everyone had the opportunity to also contribute to coming to a solution or at least understanding the problem better or relating to it. So I didn't feel like it was too cookie cutter for a group, like that it was too general. There was still like so much personalized attention. And I think that helped each and every one of us, even if it wasn't personalized to me, but it helped all of us understand that we're not alone in this journey, and that a lot of times we don't realize that we have, something we need to work on
Yes.
unless until somebody else voices it. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, it's eye-opening, and that also helps in that solidarity, right? We're all working together through this life.
Yes. 100%. We never have to go through it all alone.
Yeah.
And just speaking to that individuality, so everyone gets a copy of my Success Without Sacrifice Success Blueprint. And so it's a 14-page guide, and you're just basically going to go through and be filling this out. So you walk away with your own playbook. Like, yes, the process is the same, the components are the same, but what goes within those components is unique to each woman. And then you just like have this playbook to go run your life after the program ends.
And I have to tell you a little secret. I keep it on my desk. It's always here next to me. So yes.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
it
so
is.
glad.
And it has room for you to keep building plans, right? So to keep working on your goals and making sure that you're holding yourself accountable. So I love the blueprint.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for that feedback. I mean, I knew you were going to be a rock star on this today, but I mean, you really like exceeded all expectations, as always, Celina. So, last question. What would you say to anyone who is interested? They're watching right now. They're like, I think I want to be a part of Success Without Sacrifice, but they haven't taken the steps to apply yet. Why should they do it?
Why should you not do it? I think that a lot of time we don't feel comfortable investing in ourselves. And I know that a large figure might be, intimidating when you look at a coaching session and some work you need to do versus a Caribbean vacation, right? Let's put that contrast. The transformation that you can experience if you love yourself enough to invest in bettering your life personally and professionally. For me, ladies, I can tell you it has changed my life. It has saved my life. I'm making better decisions for my health, for my mind, for my spirit, for my family, and for the business that I help run. So it's been such a transformation. When you come back from that Caribbean vacation, you come back into the mess and the craziness.
Yep.
You're going to have such a huge transformation for the rest of your life with this. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And there's so many options to make it, affordable. You just have to be smart and make the decision. Have the courage to say yes to you.
I could not have said that any better. That was so amazing. Thank you, Celina, for sharing all of your wisdom with us tonight. And I just could not be more proud of all the amazing success that you have had. I mean, you always show up. You always did the work. So I know that that's why you have seen such an amazing transformation because, I can get everybody so far. I can lead the horse to water, but if you don't drink, it's only going to get you so far. So listen.
Thank you, Karen.
Oh my gosh, you are so welcome. So let's do this thing. Go sign up for Success Without Sacrifice. And if you have further questions, just ask them in the group because I know Celina would be more than happy to tell you about her experience if you have other specific questions that I didn't ask.
Be glad to.
Okay, ladies, this is your moment. Is Success Without Sacrifice for you? Go to KarenFreeland.com/success right now and apply. That's all you have to do. And an application does not guarantee entry into the program, nor is it an official commitment. It just lets me know that you're interested and I can review the information on your application. And if it's a good fit, you'll get a video message from me inviting you to hop on a call and talk about next steps so we can get you officially onboarded. But I want you to act fast because doors are closing February 20th. And after that, you're not going to be able to get in. Not to mention, seats are limited. I am very specific about the cohorts. I want this to be an amazing, high-touch, intimate setting. I'm taking 6 to 8 women max. Now, don't worry. If I have more women than that, of course, I'll run 2 cohorts. So there's plenty of space for everybody, but you've got to get your application in right away. Don't delay so that we know how many we're working with. KarenFreeland.com /success, that is the place to go and put in your application. And look, you deserve a balanced life just as much as everyone else. You deserve to have better relationships, to reach your big career goals and not have to sacrifice your health, your well-being, and all the amazing things that you deserve to be experiencing in this life. And I can help you do that. So I can't wait to see your application come across and help you achieve success without sacrifice. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're inspired to take action by committing to one of the tips or strategies we talked about in today's episode. And if you want accountability and support, I've got your back. Join my private Facebook group, Successful Working Women Rocking Reinvention, today. You'll find a community of like-minded women waiting to support you, exclusive content, and helpful resources to ensure you succeed. Lastly, if you loved this episode, do me a favor and be sure to leave a review. Together, we can encourage more women to live their purpose. See you next time.